Let's take a look at creating gutters and downspouts in AutoCAD Architecture. So on the screen here, I show three versions essentially of a 2x3 downspout. So this measures 2 inches by 3 inches, this rectangle here. So the reason I'm showing three is that you can, if you want to, you'll need to get a little deeper into AutoCAD Architecture that I'm going to discuss in this overview, but you can essentially have a low, a medium, and a high version of detail for your gutters and downspouts. And so the way you do that, well, according to us, what we do is we use structural members. There are other ways that people are creating gutters and downspouts in AutoCAD, but we feel that this is pretty much the most optimum of the objects for the purpose of downspouts and gutters. So I'll demonstrate that here. Now to get started, I'm going to go ahead and type in member style, member style. And I'll go ahead and create a member style for this purpose, and it's going to be a 2x3 inch downspout, galvanized, and I'll just leave it at that. And so when I double click here, design rules, we're going to make a 2x3 downspout. That's the component, or maybe I'll just call it a 2x3 inch tube, because that's really what it is. Now here where it says name and I drop down, there is no name for me to select. So what we're going to do is define something for it to use rather than standard. And that'll take me back to these shapes that I have on my screen. Now to make a shape, a profile basically, into a structural member shape, you can't use profile. That would have been too easy. You have to use a special command just for structural members, and that command is called member shape. So you pull up this window, and you'll go in here and you give it a name just like you would any other style. So I'm going to write 2x3. Let's see, downspout, like that. So then when I come back and look at this, I'll know that that's what it does. Now I'll double click on it, and you'll see here that you can define, as I stated before, here's the low, the medium, and the high. It's built in to define them that way, but to use them pretty much by default in your default drawing files, it will only use medium and high. But I'll go ahead and define all three so you can see how that's done. So for the first one, I'm going to pick this shape, boom, and then for the medium, I'm going to go ahead and zoom in a little bit. I'm going to pick the outer first. I'm going to go down to the command line and see what it says add ring. You just pick here, and I'll get the add this, and then I'm going to go ahead and let it snap to the center. And then for high detail, go over here. And the difference on my high detail is I've actually filleted the corners. This kind of stuff looks really good in your renderings. And also the reason I'm having an inside and outside, if you were to catch in your renderings an opening in a downspout or something, it looks much better to see it that way with it as opposed to just a solid thing. So again, here I'm going to pick that, and then add here, and then like so. All right, let me just check through here. So see that they all line up. Make sure that that happens. If you see any glitches, any differences in the alignment here, you'll need to redefine them to make sure that you come out perfectly. So now I've done all that work. And I'll go back to member style now, and I will have that available as a profile. So right here where it says name, that's where I can select the member shape. That's all I have to do because this is just a straight tube. So I don't have to mess around with the settings for the start of the shape and the end of the shape. I would when or will when I talk about a gutter, but I don't have to do that here. So I'll go ahead and do an apply and OK. And we'll just whip it into a 3D view, and we'll do a column add, and we'll go over here on the properties and select that new structural member. And when I plop it in like that, I should see, there we go, I have that. Now this is the medium, and I said before, you're only going to see medium and high. So if I go to medium and then I go to high, you'll see in high detail, it has the inside and the outside with the fillets on there. When you go to low, it just shows medium, and that has to do with the display manager and settings in there in your default template. So you'll have to learn how to do some changes in there to take advantage of the low structural member detail. But we have a downspout, and if I let's see here, we have to go to view, and let's do a shaded view. You'll see it has a hole in it. All right, so it's essentially a real downspout. Now these are based on 24-inch gauge galvanized shapes. So this offset is, you can do a table lookup to see what the thickness is of the gauge on your downspout. So you can get that accurate as well. So let's go to Plan World. Okay, so here it is in Plan View, and we'll go to Wireframe. Now to demonstrate how you could use that gutter, we'll go to Archidyme's General Tools product, and inside that product you'll see roofs, and we have basic roofs that are basically just blocks. I'm going to insert this roof here, and I'm going to go ahead and just sort of pop it in right over here, enter. All right, so now I have a roof to work off of. And the only difference between this roof and drawing a roof is this comes in with, these are roofs, not roof slabs. This comes in with the material on it. So if I go to realistic, let's see, and we go to high detail, you'll see it comes in with that. And that's the only reason we made it a block. So essentially what I would do here is I would run a gutter, and then I would run a downspout. So since I just have the gutter here, what I'll do is I'll go to a front view. So let's go over here, front view. All right, and I'll go back to wireframe. All right, and let's put a grade line in. So I'm going to draw a line here at 0, 0, 0, and let's move the roof up to, let's say, 8 feet. Okay, so let's say it has like an 8-foot plate or so, and then there would be a gutter coming down. So what I could imagine is I could imagine that coming off of here, let's say about here, there's a gutter like this. Maybe it comes down about that much. And I'm just sketching it out here. And then I'm going to go ahead and come in to probably where the wall is. I didn't draw a wall, but I'm going to assume the wall is probably about here. And then I'll come down straight at the end here. And then I'm just going to do a little return here for the, and I can have the angle on if I want to. Let's just do it like this. Now I could drop down, which would be good, so I might as well do that. So now I'm below grade, which I don't want, so I'm just going to stretch that up a little bit like that. All right, so that's a polyline that I just created, and what I'm going to do is now is I'm going to type in column convert. I'm going to select that, enter, and then go ahead and hit OK, so that it turns that whole polyline into one structural member. And now I can set it to the downspout. So I've got my downspout set up here, and I could essentially just move that over now. So align it with you know, wherever I think my gutter is. And if I need this to let's see, we'll go 0, undo. What I'm noticing is I don't think I want it in that direction. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to the style, and I'm going to force this thing into a different direction. I want to make sure 90, so just put here on the rotation 90, so it draws at the right orientation relative to the polylines that I'm converting. So you'll see, yeah, that would be more appropriate for the orientation of the downspout. Now, if we jump back into Archidyme's products here, where I showed you in the general tools that we have the roofs. So a couple of roofs you can drop in. This one shows how to do a roof with a mass group attachment, and then regular slabs defined for all different kinds of things. If we go forward far enough, you're going to get into our drainage area. So right here, let's see, what do I want? I want a gutter. So there's several gutters, and then there's some downspouts we've predefined for you. So I'm going to insert our gutter, which is based on the information that I just provided, and I'm going to snap to the edge of the roof. Oops. What I need to do is UW, I need to get my UCS back to world, and I need to draw this again, and then I'm going to go over here and say on object no, so that I can actually just draw it the way I want to draw it here. So I'm just going to come like this. Now I could be careful here and snap it like that, that's fine, and then we'll go ahead and we'll do like a shaded view so we can see the gutter is popping in. All right, and there is my downspout is not lining up properly. But before I continue, let's do something else here that you would normally do on a roof like this. Is if we just kind of go at an just like this. It's hard to work in shaded view. I'm going to do a mirror, and then I'm going to snap to the edge here, and then I'm going to go down and set the angle. I'm going to mirror that gutter right to there, so 315. All right. Now I'm going to pull this out a little bit, and I don't have to do this, but it always works if you do this. And then I'm going to grab one of them, right-click, and I'm going to go down here to Trim Planes and say Miter. And I'm just going to miter it with this guy and then snap out here and out here so it knows that those are the parts I want to remove. And so now I've created a nice, clean location, or a corner, I should say, for that gutter. So you can see here, there's the gutter with a nice, clean corner. Now all I'm going to do is fix that downspout. So I'll go back to a front view. All right. Let's see, we could do a couple of things. The simplest thing is you just take the gutter. Okay, grab it here. Come on. All right. Okay, I'm going to get out of a shaded mode here. There we go. And I'm just going to move it from here to a dot X here. And so it lines up like that. So now I can take it and bring it down. Okay, I'm going to get rid of the original line. And let's say there is a wall over here, but I'm finding that it doesn't match up with that wall. So I can just use stretch, and I can just pull the gutter back and forth with my ortho on. Okay, let's see, ortho on. There we go. So I can just make some adjustments very quickly. Oops, let's do this. I have something on my, what did I do? There we go. That. And again, I can just do an S here and stretch this up, or I can use the grips on the structural member. I can pull this down, do crazy things like that. All right, so you have a lot of freedom of control when you take and convert a polyline into a structural member. Using it for a downspout is a great example. Now, my downspout is showing up the wrong color here, so I'm going to select it, right-click, go to Edit Member Style. Let's take a look at the materials and assign it to that white material that I have in the drawing file. So what we're ending up with now is, I'm going to go realistic. We're ending up with a gutter and a downspout solution. And so what often happens is I find that the other end of the building, I need another one of these, but often you know, the grade is sloping or something, so this one has to be up higher, so I'll just stretch it up. And it works out pretty well. So for the gutters that we have, it's the same exact technology or solution, and I'm going to show you right here. So these gutters are also structural members made exactly the same way as how I demonstrated the creation of the downspout. So if I go here and select the gutter, edit the member style, go to design rules, you'll see it's a little more complicated. And now try to imagine before I tell you, why would I need a little more complicated component setup for a gutter than a downspout? All right, so let me give you a little more clue. What happens at the end of gutters? So you can see here, there's an end cap on both sides of the gutter, and then there's just the gutter shape. So if you compare that to the downspout is just the middle part here. That's the gutter shape. But I had to show here that we are you know, using some end caps so that when you get to the end over on a gutter, it's actually capped off properly. So when you create the profiles, let's go and look at those here. All right. So I'll do a member shape insert. That's how you get the member back if you need to work on it. And you can see I have, there's the gutter, and here's the gutter end cap. So here's the gutter, and when you bring it in, you can choose low, medium, or high. So I'm going to go ahead and just say the high detail for that, and I'm going to go ahead and insert it right there. And it brings in a point right there, AutoCAD POINT. That is there to remind you where the insertion point was when it was created. So this shape does not use the absolute center because of the way that you draw it. It's easier to draw it right along the edge of the roof. So that's the insertion point there when you define it. So you notice there's the shape of the main portion, and if I go back here to member shape insert, I can bring in the end cap and do high detail, and just pop it in there right there. And you can see if I overlay this, this just sits to the outside, and I'll go ahead and make that red. Right, so you can see that's the end cap. All right, so hopefully all of that makes sense. Just before I end this overview, just in case you're building these yourself, make note of what is occurring here. So the end shape here, that was the one that's just an outline. It goes from start 0, 0, 0 to start 1/8, 0, 0. So what that means is it comes in 1/8 of an inch. Now in reality, it's probably much thinner than that, but that's just a good exaggeration. Sometimes they have this little plastic covers and stuff, so we just made them a little more exaggerated. So that's for the start one, and then for the end one, it goes to minus 1/8, and then all the way to 0 at the other end, right? And then notice the middle, just to be clean, it comes in 1/8 on both ends. So in 1/8 here to begin with, and then minus back off the end 1/8 at the end. And so if you can put all that together, you can create all kinds of gutter and downspout solutions. And I think that's pretty much it for this topic, and I'm out.